Hey, hey, dear beloveds. Let me just get comfy in my chair here. Hi. Well, oh, that's a bit high, isn't it? There we go. Just get my tripod, all right. Welcome to day 11 of our 17-day archetype adventure. And I'm just really, really loving it, actually. I'm finding this to be one of my favorite parts of my day. And just having that lovely sense of who's going to show up and the energy that they're going to bring, because you know, even within the archetypes, we're not talking about one thing. You know, you might receive the energy of the goddess or the wife or the mother, but whatever that is on any given day is potentially going to be different, because of course that's the beauty of working with archetypes. We're not locking them in and saying they're only one thing, they only behave like this is you know, their limit. This is a really expansive way to engage with our symbolic sight and to work with interpreting energy. So it's been such a pleasure to get to have that connection to each of them in such an intimate way, and to just notice how they are presenting themselves right now and how we can access their medicine. So we're at day 11, and thank you for, I love the guessing of who's, or the intuiting who is going to show up. I'm not sure that anyone intuited who is actually here with us, and she showed herself to me in my meditation this morning. And I have to admit, this is, I know, a favorite of many of you. We're talking about a sacred archetype. And one of the really popular ones in the deck that has been created by Christy and myself, but she is not one that I naturally have spent a lot of time with, which always intrigued me because I kind of thought that she would be. And you know, it's all cycles, and we kind of move through the phases of working with the archetypes at different times. At the moment, you know, I've got the Maiden on my desk because she really called to me and keeps calling to me and really reminding me of kind of the innocence of not carrying the heavy burden, not carrying the heavy weight. So I'm rocking her. But you know, if you'd asked me like a year ago, how's your relationship with your Maiden, I would have been, well, I literally was on yoga retreat about 14 months ago, kind of sobbing my eyes out because I was so disconnected from my Maiden. So they're always working with us, they're always cycling through us, and we can kind of connect into them at different times. And we have, you know, archetypal life guides for sure, but I think it's very natural to know that our energy in relation to the archetypes will shift and change. And if we can tap into that subtle information, we'll get a lot of support in our work, and that's exactly why we want to work with them. So today we have the Alchemist. And she's a cover girl, of course, for the Sacred 13. Like she's the cover girl. Like, she's so gorgeous. And I actually think this image is the only one in the Sacred 13 pack that Christy had already created prior to the pack. So she is the alchemist. We also know her as the healer. And, you know, if we're being culturally sensitive, it might be part of your culture to identify as the medicine woman as well, or man. And that is part of the alchemist's work. And you'll know if that's part of your lineage or not. It's not really appropriate to call yourself a medicine woman if that isn't part of your lineage. But the alchemist is also the healer for sure. And, you know, I have a really, not complex, but I have clear ideas about the use of the word healing and healer. And so for me, it was a much more obvious decision to use alchemy or the alchemist as a way to identify that archetype of the healer, because what healing is at its core is always what occurs between the healer and the healed. It doesn't happen in isolation. And we talk about this a lot in the third level training, is that when you sit with someone to identify their dominant negative self-belief stored in their subtle anatomy, which is the main work that we learn how to do, what you identify will be different to, say, another intuitive guide who comes and sits down with the same person. Now, why is that? very often it's could be similar, but the idea is that it's the alchemy between you and your client that is creating the healing or the change, the alchemy that is going to bring you back into holiness. So for me, alchemy or the alchemist is a far more potent idea than healer and healing, because those things suggest a deficit. They suggest that the client is passive. They suggest that there's something to be fixed, whereas alchemy and alchemist suggest there is magic waiting to be, and I mean sacred magic, waiting to be unleashed through the union of your energetic signatures, and that's much more exciting to me. So I will read the words that were channeled for the alchemist, and then we'll see how she would like to work with us today. So, in my presence you are made holy, and my holiness is the medicine. I am the vessel into which you pour yourself so that the healing may occur. My medicine is alchemical. Transmutation of fear into love through the grace of your remembered holiness. It is not magic, this is medicine. It is the truth we are all here to recall. I am the medicine woman for all consciousness. I am the healing balm, for I have the willingness to make alchemy of my fear and turn it into love. And that of course is what healing is turning fear into love, because it's simply remembering what we are. That is the return to wholeness or holiness. That is the return to love. So the alchemist would like to offer herself to you if you would like some insight into your own return to holiness. So where it is that you may feel there is a deficit, lack, an imbalance, a lack of alchemy, or the alchemy is not producing the result that you would like. So really, anybody who would like to request some information, I'd like you to ask something specifically rather than just nominating yourself. If there's a question you have, perhaps in your role as someone who might identify as a healer, or as someone who works in sacred service. I feel the alchemist is particularly keen to show up today to support you in your understanding of any blocks or impediments to your own work in this way, to be a more informed healer. Even though I don't like to use that word. So please nominate a specific question that you have for the alchemist if you would like. I don't want to just do blanket responses. I'd like to actually tap into what it is that you would like to know. And there may not be anything, and that's absolutely fine if nobody has any questions for the alchemist. But if there is a place in you that needs deeper understanding about your own work in sacred service, in being the alchemist, the medicine woman, the healer, then let me know, and I'll see how I can serve you, or how she can serve you with me or as me. And if there isn't anything specific, then I'm very happy to just tune in and see what she would like to hear. Okay. So Amy says, I feel like my struggles with articulating myself is holding me back a lot. Okay. So let's just see what the alchemist would like you to know, my darling. Well, my darling, you're trying to do it all on your own. So you're not actually letting the alchemy of you with your God nature occur. So what we mean by that is that there's a sense of deep trust in God consciousness pouring through you in those unspoken ways. But when it comes time, as you say, to actually articulate or to share, you're doubting yourself. You're, as we say in the third level, relying on your own readiness rather than God's readiness. And this is spiritual self-esteem. This is really just, can you get out of the way or get over yourself to let God move through you, just as you do when you're doing particular kinds of things. It's like you're letting it happen in some ways, and you're shutting it down in other ways because you think one is a special learned skill and one is something you can do. And it's all rubbish. It's all just about working the muscle of your intuition. You have it all in equal measure. So please just rely on God's readiness, not your own. And then don't get in the way of that. Remembering that whenever you just let yourself be that expression of God's in the world, you will find what you're looking for. The words will be there. Okay, beautiful. Thank you for letting us see you. Chloe says, how am I able to step further into my role for collective sacred service? Well, okay, this one's just like a neon light. Take the burden of responsibility of yourself, my darling. You feel so overwhelmed with the burden of, oh my God, I'm meant to be doing this thing for God or for the world, and I'm just not doing it, or I'm not getting it right, or I'm going to mess it up. And you've like squashed all the light in yourself with this absolute terror of not getting it right. So that saboteur perfectionist is just holding you ransom and just making you feel like if it is not perfect, then it's not worth it. But absolutely, please just put that all down, my darling, because that pressure to do it perfectly, or to get it right, or to find the exact right thing, or to, all of that is causing you to disconnect from your infinite nature. And then when you come to try to be of service, of course, you're doing it from that muggle perspective, and it's not flowing for you. So I invite you just to take the pressure off yourself. This is your joy. Your service is your joy. If it isn't, then it's not where you're supposed to be. So really just let yourself be with the pleasure of being in that role. And I think you'll find that it will all start to flow. Beautiful. Deb says, I feel that I doubt my ability to facilitate my women's workshop, uncertain if this is a path. There are no wrong answers, my darling. You cannot get it wrong. Give it a crack. See if it works. If it doesn't work, and I mean as in, did you have the most fun that you could possibly have, then you're either on the right path or you're not, okay? So the idea that you can, once again, as we were speaking before, you cannot get it wrong. You just need to put it out into the world from that space of divinely inspired action. And if you are following that joy, if you're, it's not the most cliched fridge magnet ever for no reason. Follow your bliss is a direct instruction on how to show up in your life in the right way. And if it doesn't feel like bliss, it doesn't mean it needs to be easy, by the way. That's not what bliss means. It's just your willingness to show up and to take action if you feel that you're being called to take that action. Now, if you're trying to dumb it down or water it down or make it more palatable or make sure more people like you or no one identifies you as spiritual, or you're in hiding in some way, then you're probably going to offer something that is not reflective of what you truly want to be offering, but something you're trying to make sure nobody judges you for. If that's the case, then I encourage you to look at why you would be in hiding, what you're afraid of, and to take action to correct that. But otherwise, taking action is always the antidote to the ego's voice. Just try it. It's either going to fly or it's not. You cannot mess it up. You just not doing something will mess it up. Beautiful. Thank you for letting us see you. Jane says, I struggle with self-worth issues in my work that I've been working on. I'd love to know what the alchemist can say to help me, guide me further. Well, what I want to say to you is you're in the right place, my darling. Thank God you are coming into the third level, because if self-worth is your issue, we are the antidote. But beyond that, right now, until we begin, it is so similar to what I've been sharing a lot today, both here and in other contexts, is that get over yourself. You're making this about yourself. You're making this about you needing it all to feel a certain kind of way, and as though that is the measure of it. The measure of it is, am I willing to get over myself to let God move through me? There's a quote that I read, and I think it might come from Jesus. I read it in Resurrecting Jesus by Adyashanti, which I just love. And the quote is, if I'm not shining, I am in darkness. And it might seem really confronting, but it isn't about you having to be happy and joyful and clap your hands and all the rest of it and fake positive your way through your life. It's about the truth that if there is something that you've been invited to share and you're letting self-doubt stop you, then you are keeping yourself and all else in darkness. There's only one of us here, right? So I would love for you to look at where you are thinking it's about you and to get over that. And of course, you're going to spend a year with me, and we're going to absolutely knock that on the head. But you can start right now. Where am I making it about me? Okay. Amy says, that's huge. Thank you. I wrote that down last night too. Yes, you stand in your own way. We all do it, baby. Don't worry. Alonka says, I'm holding myself back at the moment, and while I understand that this is a fear barrier, I'm unsure how to transcend this so I can speak my truth, share my light, and serve others. Like so many of what I've shared already today, my darling, action is the antidote. Now, we talk a lot about this idea of congruence in the third level. So in the third level, we talk about this idea that you need to be the demonstration of your faith. There's no point saying all these nice spiritual things if you don't then go forth and live them, because you're incongruent, you're breaking the law, you're just talking shit, you're just making noise, you're taking up space. That's not what I'm saying you're doing, by the way. But that is what a lot of spiritual people do, is they talk a good game, and when it comes to looking at their lives, you go, whoa, that's really incongruent. You aren't the demonstration of anything. So action is always the antidote. Are my actions matching my faith? So where you feel that barrier of fear is just jump in, do something, take some action, show up, give to someone else, because giving is receiving. And we often forget this. We're thinking that we're having to wait until what we're giving is perfect and like, you know, as though something's going to just drop out of the sky fully formed. Imperfect action is how we get to right action. I'm not going to say there's perfect action, because there isn't, but if you don't start, there is no action. So just start, my darling. Just put your foot on the path. Take some action. You're already doing that. I'm so excited about that. And I'm so excited about what we're going to share. But right now, what little action can I take to shut that ego voice down and just keep moving? Okay, so Eve, my darling, the support around from the Alchemist is be your own medicine. Okay, right now, what you want to offer to others, offer to yourself. And that doesn't mean you have to do it in a siloed, isolated way. Like, make that journey public. Show up to your community. Let them see you, whoever that is, whether that's like going live on Facebook or sending out a newsletter to people, or just, you know, gathering people around you, you know, in this imperfect action, but making it all public right now. It's like your service is your medicine, and it's really vital that you get visible. It's really vital that you just let yourself be seen right now. And that is the alchemy, because in doing that, you're going to find the healing that you're seeking. So there's this sense of like there's this dark shadow, like you're in a cupboard and the door's just cracked open a little bit and you're looking out the little crack at everyone out there who looks like they're having a really great time, and you're like, that's not me, I'm stuck in the cupboard. But actually the cupboard's like, the door's not locked. There's this great meme, I'll see if I can find it for you, where this toddler keeps slamming a door on its own foot, and anyway, its spirit guide is saying, you know, stop doing that. But it's really vital for you to get back in the light of visibility, and to let yourself guide others by guiding yourself. So guide yourself by guiding others. That's what I mean to say. Guide yourself by guiding others. And there's so many really simple ways that you can do that, which will not add more burden to your plate, but will actually give you the fire, that tapas, that heat that you need to move out of the state that you're in. Okay, let me just see what time it is, because I just need to make sure I finish up before my nanny leaves. Eleni, my darling, please trust yourself. That is it. That is all. Like, you got it all going on, baby. You are it. You are just needing to trust yourself, like that ledge that you've been standing on for so long, because you know, when you don't trust yourself, you don't trust God, it's just like it's eroding beneath your feet and you're scrambling. You can feel all the, you know, the gravel kind of rolling down the hill, and it's only a matter of time until you fall, you know, flat on your ass down that hill. Or the alternative is you just jump into the unknown. You stop looking for guarantees that things are going to work out a certain way, and you just give yourself permission to fly, because you have got it all, and you are holding it into such a small kind of contained vision, because you feel like you've got this, just this incredible sense of needing to know how it's all going to work out before you take that action. Okay, guess what? Rufus needs to go out. What a surprise. You know, we're not surprised at all, are we? Because Ricky's doing the live. Okay, Rufus, you can go out. There you go. All right, I'm back. Let me have a little look. Now, Tammy, your question, I would love to know where the Alchemist Feminine Art. I want to know what you mean by that question. Where do you, like, where should it go, or what should you do with it? Or I'll see if you comment below, because I need to have a little bit more information on that one. Oh, there we go. I would love to know what the Alchemist is holding for me around me not fully sharing my feminine art. Well, the Alchemist isn't holding anything. That's your ego holding it. But the Alchemist would love to know what's in it for you to not fully share your art. And that is all you need to know. There's nothing complex about this. In fact, your self-awareness is insane. Like, you know everything that's motivating you, and you want there to be something tricky or hard, or, you know, even kind of like outside of your power, like something's happening to you. But I invite you just to really get real with yourself right here, because the alchemist is just like strumming her fingers like this, like, like nothing is holding you back. Nothing is stopping you. It's just your willingness to show up and do the hard thing. And that would be the only thing that she would offer you, is that don't be afraid of the hard thing. Now, I don't mean the hard thing as in letting someone emotionally mistreat you, and I don't mean the hard thing as in living, you know, in poverty. I don't mean the hard thing as in suffering. I mean like having to really structure your time and really take yourself seriously and really see how it is that you can do this with your life wholly and completely. And that's the hard work that she's inviting you to do. And I think you know that, and you're ready for it. There ain't nothing I can tell you that you don't know. Okay, let me just have a look and see if there's anybody else. No, I think that's it. Amazing. How fun was that? Thank you, everybody, for commenting and letting the alchemist speak. I've really enjoyed that. As I said, I've always felt a little bit of disconnect from the alchemist, even though I love that image so very much. And I've always been surprised about that, because I'm like, yeah, no, I'm completely, I want that, that's me. No, it isn't. Not right now, but that's cool, because this is the whole thing. Right now, I'm, you know, right in my maiden energy, loving that, always in my priestess energy. And it's really, really fun to observe your own cycles in terms of which of these archetypes is with you at what time. And, you know, even, you know, in your own cycle in your body, like who is around at different phases. We know that we have different currents of energy and different levels of access to these energies and patterns of vibration. And if we tune into them and really let them guide us, then we won't feel like we're doing our life on our own. And that's the whole point, because we're not. These patterns, these currents of energy are all around us, and they're vital, and they're full of wisdom and personality and energy and heat and nourishment, and we neglect to tune into them. They need us to tune in order for us to participate. So that is day 11. Tomorrow I'll be back with day 12. Bets on who's coming. Are we ready for another shadow? Who knows? It's not up to me, is it? But we will have all 17 done by whatever day is next week, when all 17 will be done. And of course, if you want to know more about the third level, our interviews are closing in the next couple of days. I'm so excited by the women who are coming into this round. They're powerhouses. They're take no prisoners, and I'm just, yeah, really, really thrilled about what we're going to be able to create together. But if you would like to interview, there are still some times left. I will comment, leave it in the comments so you can find it. Ask any of your big sisters about it if you're keen to know more, and let's hang out again tomorrow. So much love to you all.